Good morning. Hello, my loves. Diana here, and welcome to Mentoring for Awakening, episode 15, where we are going to discuss your purpose today. This, I feel, is such an important, insightful subject, and I hope that I can give it enough depth and explanation to clarify some of this for you. At least to give you some insight with regards to, what it means, to have a purpose. Do you have one? And all those little sort of questions that arise as we go on this journey called, life, and especially when we're in the process of having a sort of awakening within ourselves for whatever reason. Okay. So let's start. Keep it concise, keep it brief. Okay, so when I was preparing for this video, I started with, what is the meaning of purpose according to the English dictionary? And purpose is described as a noun primarily, and as a noun it is the meaning or the reason for which something is done or created. Alternatively, it is the reason for which something exists. So just in that description, there is a lot of meaning. There's a depth in this idea of what a purpose is. And equally then, if we could describe from a soul's perspective, let's try and describe what it means to sort of have a purpose. So I then meditated with this idea of purpose, and here's what I was shown. So to start off with, that expression, Anthony Robbins actually coined this. He talked about how attention goes where energy flows where attention goes. So if you apply that principle, that the particles of energy will go wherever the consciousness is most focused on, right? And we think about it from the perspective of high consciousness. Our soul, which is an expression, like a cluster of conscious energetic particles. When our soul is actually, when our soul applies that principle of the focus will, the energy will flow where the attention goes. So the soul will focus on a vision. It will want to experience something from a more physical matter, from a more concrete or focused expression of itself. And that focus of the soul, that soul expression, is our individualized physical body. So just by you being born on this planet Earth means that you have a purpose, because for some reason the higher expression of all that is, which is your soul, has chosen to express itself in matter through this vehicle we call a physical body. So in that, in itself, there is a higher divine order and purpose. Yeah, so that's one. The other thing that I want to say, that when there is a decision or a purpose for the soul to express itself in matter, then what also happens, or what it also means, is that the soul has a vision for itself, something that it wants to again experience, and so there's like a vision, there's like a divine vision and a mission on this physical plane that is depending on the soul's level of evolution, the soul wants to experience. So let's just remind ourselves of what those things can be, so that I can actually put some physical context around, you know, what I'm trying to explain here. So I've already mentioned that being on earth, being born, just simply being born means that you have a purpose. The soul has expressed itself in a physical way on this physical plane for a reason. Therefore, you were born, therefore you have a purpose, period. Yeah? A purpose doesn't mean that you were born to single-handedly change this entire planet at this time. That's not what a purpose means. Your most important, or our most important purpose, is to remember the true nature of who we are and to embody consciously that I am present, you know, that soul higher aspect, to remember that you have one, and to put yourself, and to then integrate that knowing, which is already there. So it's more like a remembering, and allow that to consciously be a part of your life day to day. Yeah, that is the most important purpose that any one of us will have. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes to make sure that I don't forget anything. Okay. The thing to remember about your purpose, your simple baseline, I'm having this, you know, physical experience perspective, the purpose associated with that is that your soul is the more expansive expression of yourself, and therefore it's free. It sees and is connected to all the potentials that are simultaneously available to all of us. Yeah, and it is always working for your highest and best outcome or good. Yeah, always. It cannot lead you astray. What would be the point of that? Because it's having an experience for a particular reason, and this experience in this lifetime will be according to your soul's evolutionary trajectory. Let me say that again. Your soul's evolutionary trajectory. So if you at the high in the higher frequencies of consciousness have decided to express in matter through this physical body. Remember, energy or consciousness flows where attention goes. So the soul says, I want to experience a certain thing according to my evolutionary trajectory. Then that is the focus of yourself in a lifetime. So that becomes your soul's vision, your unconscious vision, yeah, and therefore mission to execute in a lifetime. Hence a purpose. The challenge, this all kind of sounds a little bit too scientific perhaps, or too quantum or whatever. The discussion around this has a lot, of course, the deeper discussion around this has a lot to do with those quantum quantum energetic principles, yeah? So it's a little bit scientific. In fact, it's where science meets spiritual principles, or what used to be considered spirituality, or just spirituality, but it's the two actually meeting at this point where they can collaboratively work together to help us consciously remember the true nature of our universe. Now, if we now remember that when we are born, we are actually given free will, or the choice to decide and think for ourselves on planet Earth, because we need ways to reason, we need the journey of self-discovery that then propels us on that evolutionary trajectory. This is where we can stumble or trip over ourselves, truly. Because once we are in this physical realm, what's called the reptilian brain kicks in. Our innate sense of survival, that survival of the species, which is also a natural part of any living organism in terms of matter. Yeah, the things that actually express as living biological organisms on the planet: animals, plants, people, humans, blah blah. Yeah, you know what I mean. When this aspect of us, of course, kicks in and it's necessary, we tend to forget that that's just one aspect of ourselves. The problem occurs when, or challenges are really truly created when we when we give our survival ego aspect too much control. We allow that survival mode to drive the trajectory of our lifetime, not of our soul, but the trajectory of a lifetime, right? Because that ego survival mode keeps us in separation. Me versus them, me versus life, in separation, in opposition, us against them. It keeps us at in that mode of trying to control things, to manipulate things for survival. keeps us in a relatively aggressive fight response, you know, that war response. And all we really need to do is just have a look at just how much that's encouraged in the world, this world that we are living in. You don't have to look very far to see the expression, no, my goodness, the expressions of this in the world. Just have a look at how much aggression there is, how much opposition there is, how much arguing there is, you know, the us and them, the power, the lower, the upper, the downer, the blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't stop. And the reason for this is because the baseline of those survival principles have been taken completely out of context and way too far. And so there's constant distraction in the collective energy and in the world, in this life that we live, outside distractions. The thing is that this outside representation of how our world looks is really just a representation of what's going on within us. Remember in the beginning of this video, I told you, or I offered, that our biggest, most important purpose is to remember our true divine nature. That expansive, that freedom, that unconditional potential and creativity and abundance and divine love that exists in the universe. That is our number one purpose for every single person on this planet, and every single child that is reincarnated. That is by far our most important purpose, yeah? So if we now bring that back around to what I was saying in terms of the challenge that we face when we are given free will, and when that reptilian survival ego mode is activated in this physical realm, when we are unable to reconcile those two parts of ourselves, there becomes like this internal struggle, an internal friction, an internal resistance, where we disown parts of ourselves. And it is this internal disharmony, this resistance to remembering our highest potential, our highest aspect, this denial of the divine self, that is then creating that survival trajectory, the being stuck, creating resistance in your life. It's expressed in all sorts of funky ways outside of you: the wrong job, the wrong partner, being unhappy, physical illness, mental illness, no money. I mean, just on and on it goes, doesn't it? Yeah. So, you know, just the most incredible, heart-breaking, soul-damaging expressions of energy, dense energy, are created as a direct result of denial of your purpose, of your own purpose, which is to remember the true nature of who you are. And then, of course, we create a world that we see today. So I don't need to elaborate anymore on that. So how do we then try and remember our purpose. Try and embody and make that our day-to-day. It's actually a really simple answer as far as I'm concerned. It has been in my life. Because I'm going to tell you why. I think people, this is what I discovered, because I made the same mistake as well. When I was looking or trying to figure out my high purpose, I was asking the wrong question. I was asking things like, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do that represents my high purpose? And so we ask the question in terms of masculine energy, in terms of doing, and we frame it around what's our job going to be, you know, blah, blah. What are the things that are, you know, active doing things, as if a purpose is only ever relevant if it has to do with the doing masculine energy, right? The truth is, here's what I discovered, right? And this is what I'm going to share with you. The truth is that the very, very simple answer to how do I find my purpose and how do I then do that, what do I do, what is that thing, is that you have to be in your body. That is, this may surprise you. It surprised the shit out of me, let me tell you, when I discovered that all I had to do was be fully in my body. Now, let me explain exactly what I mean by that. Being fully in your body means, now let me tell you what it doesn't mean. Being fully in your body doesn't mean that you become obsessed with physical, external physical image. It doesn't mean duck lips. It doesn't mean plastic surgery. It doesn't mean big boobs or being well hung or having muscles. That's not what being in your body means. It also doesn't mean that you are all up here in your head and your body is like a freaking robot, or that you are that caught up in your emotions, in your feelings, that you can't see the forest from the trees, that everything is a big drama. Being in your body means that you have developed a very strong relationship with your inner environment. That you understand the energetics of what's going on inside, your chakras, your meridians, your energy points. You are having a solid communication with the physical aspects of yourself. So if your back hurts, if you've got a bellyache, if you're hungry and your body's trying to tell you that it needs something, you listen. If you know, you're in an environment or something is going on when you are having a connection with someone, this connection is richly communicating to you in every way, not just words, not just body language, but also energetically, so that you can develop that really beautiful, almost telepathic field of perception, that beautiful bubble where you can just communicate with other people with the deepest transparency and integrity. That's the kind of, you have to be in your body that I'm talking about. You cannot be all up here in your head and living in the past because someone did something to me that was, yes, it was terrible, and then expect to have or to be very clear on your purpose. Because your purpose, your inner self, is communicates to you through your inner guidance. It's not through outside of you, it's through your inner guidance. And so when you develop a really strong inner constitution, if you will, and all the different aspects of yourself are working together, as in your mind's working with your heart, with your body, you understand the energetics of what's going on, then your soul takes over the trajectory of your life from the survival ego, and it is at this point that you are guided by those highest potentials. And then that guidance of the high potentials will lead you to your best relationship, will lead you to lots of abundance, will lead you to where you need to live, it'll lead you to having a good car, great relationship, a soul-fulfilling relationship, all the things that your soul envisioned for you in the form of a purpose when you reincarnate. Or you come in to a physical body to have a life. So the answer is, what is my purpose? Understand, number one, that the fact that you are born, you have a purpose. Your biggest purpose is to remember your divine self, so that that higher divine self can guide the experience, the experience that the soul wants to have, or that is decided to have in a lifetime, so that it fulfills the highest trajectory, evolutionary trajectory, and the highest potential of this lifetime. That actually means that the survival of the species aspect has to work hand in hand, of course, for the purposes of survival of the species, for the purposes of this realm even being available to anybody, needs to be there, yes. This is not about poo-poo ego, this is not about poo-poo reptilian brain, but this is about understanding that that reptilian brain, that ego aspect, is here for a survival reason and not for the purpose of driving your life further into separation, further into survival, further into fight and flight mechanisms, and further into that, because that's really limiting stuff. You cannot possibly live to your highest potential when you're in that survival space. It's not possible. You can survive, yes. You cannot grow, expand, build successfully aspects of yourself to grow your your soul growth, evolutionary trajectory. So those two things, those two aspects, your divine self and your survival self, work together, but your divine self has the will to this vehicle called body, as opposed to your survival self. And the way to remember, get there, and really anchor that divine remembering is to be in your body, because your higher self will talk to you through feelings, through your feeling body will essentially intuit the energy. And then through your self-mastery, that observer perspective that I talked about in the last couple of videos or couple of episodes, will then be able to observe what's going on, make some choices that are for your highest and best outcomes. Yeah? All right. I really hope that. So I hope that helps. I hope it reassures you that you don't have to go looking for the next best course to do. That if you are just looking for your purpose in terms of doing, in terms of job, you are really only addressing the masculine energy within you. That in terms of creation, you need to plug fully into your body and fully, therefore, into the present moment in order to embody divine creation, which is divine feminine energy. And then once you have those messages, those intuitions, that guidance, those potentials, then the feminine energy works with the masculine energy, who will then go and execute. Make a plan, use the left side of the brain, and anchor it in the physical. Execute. Do. But a whole, and this is where we are moving. This is why this is really important to understand, and we will talk more about this. The use of the balanced and harmonious use of the divine feminine and masculine aspects within, so that this can then be embodied more and more within, and then be expressed in that embodied, harmoniously embodied in the physical. My loves, I'm going to stop here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, comment. I hope you like it. Feel free to share it. And of course, I'm here for you if you're needing some, back to basics counseling help as a counselor, a holistic counselor, or in terms of, coaching, mentoring type work for you to support you in your embodiment process. With all of these different concepts. Okay, much love to you. Mwah. I hope you're having a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Okay, bye.